Hey everyone, my name is Anthony and I'm with Courage and Grow, and I got asked a question on a Facebook, I don't know if it was specifically a Divi group, I believe it was, on how to, some features that people kind of like. And I suggested that people make sure they set up their blog post styling using the theme builder instead of using like the Divi builder and customizing each post individually. There's a couple of reasons for that. The first is, if ever you want to switch your theme in the future away from Divi, it'll be a complete nightmare because all your posts will be injected with Divi code that won't make any sense to the new theme. So you don't want to do that for that reason. And then also you can set up a global template that just applies to every blog post you publish, which means less work, which is always better. So let's flip into my computer screen. And so I have a blog post here on my site. I will tell you right now, my site is purposefully underdeveloped. I do not have a lot of content. I'm doing it very methodically with this new venture. So, you know, that's going to be, there's very little content, but there's enough content here to show you exactly how to do this. So right now my post looks like this. It's a, you know, the default behavior. The only thing that's not the default is the styling for the text itself. And that includes the headers, the text itself. I've used Poppins as my default font for the headers, PT Serif for the body, and then I've come in and styled all of the spacing and the font weights and all that stuff, and the ordered and unordered lists. So those styling changes I've applied already, but otherwise it's the default blog layout that you'd get out of the box with WordPress, and specifically with Divi, but with WordPress. So what we're going to do is we're going to change this. Ultimately, what I want, just as a basic example, is instead of this layout here, I'd like to put the image as about half of the screen at the top, full width, and then the content, the title, and all the kind of metadata underneath it. So this stuff here is the metadata. I can't really highlight it. It's being dumb. There we go. the title here, the metadata below it, and then the post content underneath that. And then we're also going to do a quick thing where we insert like a call to action. So it'll be like an email opt-in form, and then the comments. So let's go do that now. We're going to flip over to back to the dashboard where I am now and choose Divi and then Theme Builder. And the first thing we need to do is we need to tell Divi what content should get this new layout. And we only want to apply it to our posts, right? The blog posts are what we're styling, so we want to only do it to that. So I'm going to choose Add New, and then I'm going to apply it to all posts. So if you happen to have custom post types, you'll know what that is if you're using them. And you can, I believe they'll show up here as well. So you would just either specify only blog, or you can do the other post types. But for right now, all posts works. If you make a change and you wanted it to only be on the blog, and you turn on all posts and it breaks something else, come back in, uncheck all posts, and turn just blog on. So that should probably fix it for you. Anyway, we're going to turn on all posts and hit create. And then we don't want to change, for the sake of this example, the header or the footer. This one here is a page that I was playing with that I had set up, and I set up a custom header and footer for that. This will not have anything to do with this example. And we're just going to leave the default header and the default footer alone. We're going to change out the body. So we're going to choose, oops, not that. That would hide it. We didn't want to do that. I wanted to click the middle, choose Build Custom. And then it's going to prompt me with the, this we want to build from scratch. And at this moment, I don't want to add anything there. So the top section that's applied by default, we're going to choose the settings icon, come to background, come to image. And instead of clicking on this and adding a static background image, we want to choose this dynamic content button. We want to pull in the featured image from the specific post, right? So if we were to set this as a default image, like if we were to set it as, let's just pick one, this rainbow pride flag. If we were to set that, then what would happen when we saved this is that pride flag would apply on every single blog post, no matter what we set in the featured image, that's what would apply there. We don't want to do that. We want the image that we set for that specific post. So I'm going to delete this, choose the dynamic content button, and select featured image. You can see there's some other options here, and I have other custom fields from other plugins. Advanced custom fields, which is another plugin in and of itself, you could use to set up some really advanced, pretty cool stuff. I did that on a podcast site that I had, and I was able to like insert fancy things just using these fields. It was pretty cool. But for this basic example, we'll just choose featured image, and you'll see that when it applies, it gives you this kind of like lorem ipsum of the image world, this fake image, just so you can see where it's applying. So we're gonna actually, I don't want to save it yet, because what I said was let's make it about 50% of the screen. So let's make it exactly 50% of the screen. So we're going to come to design and then sizing, and we're going to declare the height to be 50 VH. And what that means, VH stands for view height, viewport height, I believe, but view height. In English, it means 50% of the screen's height. So if you're on mobile and your screen's height is 1,000 pixels, I'm just making this up, the image will be set to 500 pixels because it's 50% of whatever that height is. So whatever the height of my browser window is here, it's taking half of that, and that's the width of the image. So the nice thing about this is that as I resize it for mobile, you see that it still applies the same height and it stays 50% of that image. I could have done it using Divi's mobile things, but I did it that way. Okay, so the next thing we want to do, add a new section, and this is where we're going to add the title. So the first thing I want to do before I add it is on my blogs, I do not like them to be this wide. I think that it's too big. I don't want them to be this wide. So I'm going to choose the row. I'm going to choose settings, come to design and sizing. And I am, just for the sake of this example, I'm going to declare a specific width of max width of 720 pixels. So I'm setting this because I want it to be shrunken. I don't want it to be 1080 wide. I only want it to be 720 wide. But then as for the width itself, I'm going to tell Divi to make it 90% of that 720. So what it's doing is it's giving me 720 complete width, and then it's leaving some padding on the side so the text doesn't go all the way to the edges, okay? And I'll show you what that looks like. If I remember to tweak it, I'll show you what would happen if I didn't declare this, and set it to be 90 or some smaller value than 100. So we're gonna choose that okay, and then you'll see that this is the width. It's much less wide than it is now. It was wider previously. So what we're going to do is we're going to add a new module, and we're going to type in post, and we want to put in the title first. So what you'll see is it pulled in the dynamic title, meaning the title of the blog post itself. Ultimately, when I hit save, it will apply this title to the layout. Basically, it's putting all of your content into the template for you. That's how this works. But what we don't want is we don't want the featured image to show here because we already set it up there. So I'm going to come in and turn it off. I also just, personal preference, I don't like to show the comment count. Otherwise, it's got the author, it's got the date, and it's got the category, which is uncategorized, and it shouldn't be, but this is, not a super built out website. So I'm going to leave that like that. And then we want to add the post content. So let's duplicate this row. And the only reason I'm duplicating it is because I'm going to delete this, and I just don't want to have to resize the row again. It'll be the same size. We're going to type post, and we will do post content this time. And it gives you like a preview of it. And that's great. The styling's already ready. So right now, let's see what happens if I save this and see what this looks like. And I'm telling you this, I'm doing it this way because I'm, purposefully screwing up, quote unquote, screwing up, because Divi, I think, throws people with this, and I've had to help some folks figure this out a couple times in groups. So I wanted to make this quote mistake, even though it's not. It's just not intuitive. So if I refresh, you would expect the post to change to look like that style we did, and it didn't. Why is that? Well, it's because we have to come back out of this post itself, or the custom body itself, and save the whole Divi Builder, and then come over here, refresh, and the changes we made worked. The image appeared at the top, the title and the meta appeared below it, and then the post stuff below that. And you'll see that those styling things I made, like just as an example here, the bullets are off. They were indented, and they're not now. And it's because the custom CSS that I wrote, and then there's also a plugin involved, but those things, they're not targeting this post now. So that's no big deal. That's something that I can probably fix at the end. So we've got this, but I also promised you that I would show you how to add the comments, and then in between the body content and the comments, I would like to put a call to action. So let's do that now. We're going to come back here. I'm actually going to open another tab with the dashboard. The way I just did that was I hovered over that, and instead of left clicking, look at my little box here, I clicked the middle mouse button, and that's a shortcut for opening the link that you're over in another tab. So I'd like to leave the builder here. We're going to come back to this edit thing. But what I want to do is just as a, I have Bloom from Elegant Themes installed, and I have some pop-up forms that I created. These are not the forms that I would use for this. I would design something nicer, but rather than build something out, I was like, I'll just use this as for an example. So we're going to borrow this one here, just so you can see what it looks like. It's actually a pop-up currently, but I'm going to preview it. And so it looks like this. This is what popped up on the whatever landing page that I had designed. It's a form for people to opt in to an email list. So what we're going to do, I'm going to come back to the home page here, and I'm going to duplicate this, but this time I'm going to choose inline because I want it to be like a form that appears inside the blog content. I basically want one that has a short code, and that's what I'm going to grab. I'm going to open this short code, and I'm going to copy it and hit OK. Coming back to the builder, I'm going to scroll down here. Again, I'm going to duplicate the row, which it's making me scroll up here to do, which is unfun. And then for whatever reason, it didn't bring maybe it's because it was post content. I expected it to copy the post content, but maybe you can only have it once. And so that might be what's up. If it had copied anything, I would have just deleted it. And then I'm going to add a new module. I'm going to choose code. You could do text, doesn't matter. But whenever I use short codes, I like to use the code module and paste that. And then when it feels like loading, that opt-in form, there it goes, will populate right here, which is pretty sweet. And so just because I can see that it's white, and there's a lot of like padding and stuff, all the spacing that I would do in quality assurance in QA. When I finish, I would come back through and tweak all the styles to make sure it looked clean. But for right now, the only thing I see is that the top of this, it's a white background. The top of this is a white background, so you're not going to be able to tell where the post ends really and the opt-in begins. So what I'll do, just to fix that, off the top of my head, I'm going to come to design and put a little shadow around it. You know, something that helps it stand out. And then the last thing I'm going to do, I'm going to duplicate this again, and you'll see that it does pull in the module like I expected, but I'm going to delete it before it even takes time to load. I'm going to add, and we're just going to choose comments and put that in. There's other ways of inserting comments, like if you use Facebook's comment stuff, there's ways of doing it, but this is just for the sake of this example. I could turn on elements and things. We'll leave everything alone, and we'll hit save. Now, because the whole layout, all the full builder is already saved, now I don't have to go back to that anymore. So I can just come back to my post, hit refresh, and you'll see the whole thing works. Image, all this stuff works just like it is supposed to, which is fantastic. I'm very happy with this. So that's how you do this. I would come back in and fix all these spacing things, you know, just to make it look cleaner. But this is how you apply a single template. Let me just show you. Let's do this. Let's come to new post. And what we're going to do is we're just going to put in we're going to use the default editor here. Let's just do this. And we're going to generate some Lipsum text. I don't even know if I have to do this on. Yeah, I will. When it feels like loading. I feel like I should play the Jeopardy theme. Maybe this one is down. Let's try the next one. Doesn't matter which one, I just need some Lipsum text. Okay, I'm going to pause the video, and I'll be right back once this stops acting silly. Okay, I'm back. I think I actually loaded the same site twice. That's why I was yelling. But we're going to generate, 5 paragraphs of Lipsum text, and we're going to copy it, and we're going to paste it just so that there's copy to use. And then I'm going to call this is a sample post by Anthony. Okay, the only reason I didn't call it this is a sample post, I think, is because the other one that's already hanging out there says the same. Doesn't matter. We're also going to set that featured image. So let's set it to this rainbow flag. I think that's everything. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to hit preview on it. And what you'll see is that our nifty layout should be applied. And ta-da, look at that. The image is there. The post content is there. My call to action is there. And so are the comments. And isn't that easy? Now, every time I create a new post, it it applies the styling automatically, which is so super, super helpful. So this is where, if you're good with this content, we'll end this video. I'm going to take a second to briefly show you how to fix that styling thing that I was talking about. So I'll do that really fast. Okay, so the quick way to fix this, basically what happens is that the default blog post has an ID or a class, I believe. I can't remember. We'll look in a second, of entry content. I believe it's a class. And the new post does not. That class, whatever selector it is, doesn't exist currently. So we just have to add it to get all my styling to apply. So let's quickly come to I guess we can come this way, to the theme customizer, either way. And then it's going to load my hideous homepage, which is just a placeholder, so please don't judge it too hard. But I'm going to come to additional CSS, and this is where I've put in these styling options. Yeah, God, it's so horrible. I just put it there just to put something there. So I had a homepage. But yeah, okay, so it's actually a class of entry content. I can tell because it's a dot instead of a hash. So this entry content isn't applying on that post, and it's because, so like you can see here, I remember I showed you the ordered list, or in this case, the unordered list was indented, and there was spacing and stuff. It looked really pretty nice. It's not applying because that isn't there. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to come back to the theme builder, which is still open, and I could either probably do this to either the row or the module itself, but because the only thing that's living inside the row is the post content, I could just come in here and apply CSS class of entry content, right? Yep, I got it right because you saw immediately everything styled itself properly. And you know, I'll do the same thing to this for the title, because I may have styled all the headers, and this is probably should be an H1, but we'll see. So I don't know if it actually hit that, but we're going to save it. And now when I refresh this page, I'm going to try and get it to stay right here, just doing a refresh right there. And yeah, there it goes. Much, much better. You see it's actually indented. All this styling that I applied, getting the, you know, like the boldness. This actually looks a little ridiculous. So this is something I would come in and tweak to bring this back to fix that. But overall, that fixes the issue that I had. And I think we are good to go. So if you have any questions on this, or how to make it a little more robust, or how to, you know, if I need to explain anything a little better, let me know. You can email me at anthony@courageandgrow.com anytime with questions. I'm happy to answer to the best of my ability. And check out this post because it's actually pretty sweet. It's the only one that's here. I've got a lot more that's coming. I got a lot more written. It's just not in the blog. Yeah, I would absolutely recommend that you come check this out. courageandgrow.com/business-core-values. I will put a link in the description, of course. Thanks so much for taking the time to watch this tutorial. Hope it was helpful, and bye for now.